is and how fluid our schedules are, something came up, so I'm filling in this place. I'm the field representative. I'm based out of the Cambridge office and specialize in the southern 5 counties of the district. So this is my bread and butter with the ECRDC, and I think these events are just so important in the time we're living in right now, with how fluid and how everything's changing. And I think a lot of us are being forced to kind of learn on the fly and adapt on the fly. And to be able to gather some of the experts is just so important, to be able to gather as many resources as we can and to figure out how we can get through this in the best way possible. Our biggest focus right now is on constituent services. So, with us all working from home, we've had an opportunity to connect with constituents in ways that we haven't been able to before. These Zoom calls, we had one this morning in which the audio worked for about 5% of the time, but it was still so great to be able to see the faces of the people that we're working for and be able to meet people that we wouldn't otherwise meet. So I will say, if any of you guys have any needs at all or any questions for what we can be doing in Washington, everything that we're doing right now, we want to have a focus on hearing from you guys, because you are the experts, and we really think that you are the experts on the day-to-day and the ways in which things and adaptations are being made. And we want to be able to hear from you and any recommendations possible to be able to go to DC and to be able to make decisions with the backing of the people who are living the day-to-day of how everything's being impacted with COVID. So we have, SBA, DEED, and then the Small Business Development Center. I'm really looking forward to learning as much as I can today, and I hope you are too. And anything that you have, feel free to call us, the Cambridge office. You'll hear from me, and we'd love to get you in touch with Pete or with me and to be able to hear anything that we can do to help. So I'll toss it back to you, Jordan, and thanks again for having me.
All right, thank you so much. Again, Jack Freeby with Congressman Stauber's office. With that, we'll turn things over now to the U.S. Small Business Administration. We've got Mike on the line with the U.S. With the U.S. Small Business Administration. Mike Jackson.
Thank you, Jordan, and thank you for everybody for getting online with us. Just wanted to give a quick overview of some of our programs and the resources and the loans that we do have available. Of course, we want to remind everybody that we do have our resource partners throughout the state. SCORE has mentors who are standing by ready to provide assistance. They can help you with basic business questions, take a look at your financial documents, kind of getting you ready to prepare to go forward, looking at some of the loan programs. We also have the Small Business Development Centers, which are scattered throughout the state in 9 different offices, mainly located at universities. They too are there to provide assistance. They can give a little bit of detailed coaching on some of that information, but again, they're a great resource. Of course, the other one is the Women's Business Development Centers. I believe we have 3 of those, one in Little Falls, one in the Twin Cities here, and then the other in Duluth. And then lastly, the other is our Veterans Business Outreach Center, which has specific resources for our veterans and their family members. We highly recommend that you reach out to those resources and be able to utilize them. And then during this coronavirus situation, we have 4 specific programs that are designed to help out small business owners. I'm sure a majority of you are familiar with everything that's been put out recently on the Paycheck Protection Program, which is a great program that's being utilized through our lenders throughout the state. It's great that there's a lot of community lenders and non-traditional lenders who are participating in this. The good thing about this program is that up to 75% of the loan is forgiven if you follow all of the rules and the guidelines. We here at the SBA can help provide some of that assistance by answering some basic questions, and also be able to help out the lenders answer some questions that they have come up. The other one that we have right now is the SBA Express Bridge Loan Program. This is a bridge loan program for those who have a relationship already built with an express lender. And it can be a loan up to, I believe, about $25,000. and it can be used towards working capital. It does not involve revolving lines of credit. Some people have been looking for that, but it is only working capital. You do have to meet the SBA size standards for the loan and follow the regular requirements under the Express Loan Program, but it is still a great program to look for additional funds. Another one that we have is the SBA Debt Relief Program, and this is for anybody who has a current 504, 7A, or a microloan, and it helps with the individuals on payments of principal, interest, and fees for 6 months starting on November 27th of this year. Regular program requirements must be met by any new borrower, including being small by our SBA size standards. So that is something to consider. And then the other one that a lot of people are more familiar with right now is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan and the Advance. What we want to let everybody know, if anybody's reaching out at this time, that if you had applied for an economic injury disaster loan and has a application number that starts with a 3, they are in the queue, and we just ask for them to be patient as our loan officers work through that process and start to get those funds distributed out. At this time, that portal is not open until they can kind of get through that. When we do receive word that the portal is going to be open, we will be sending out an update via sba.gov/updates. So those individuals who have already signed up for that newsletter will get information on when it is open. Another key thing that we want to let everybody know that we seem to get a lot of questions on is the actual advance part of the economic injury disaster loan. There was some confusion about the 10,000. It is up to 10,000. The clarification that we received, it is $1,000 per employee, and the funds can be used for payroll costs, salary, sick leave, rent or mortgage interest payments, pre-existing debt, some things like that. Right now, the deadlines for these different programs for the economic disaster loan, it is December 31st of 2020. For the Paycheck Protection Program, it is June 30th, 2020. For our the SBA debt relief, that is deadline is December 26th of 2020. And then for the SBA Express Loan Bridge Program, that's the one that's a little bit longer. That one's out till March 31st of 2021. So Jordan, is there any questions in the queue, or are we gonna wait till the end for that?
I'm not seeing any questions at the moment. If anybody, I think I've got everybody muted, but if you do have questions, feel free to unmute yourself and fire away if that works, or put it in the text box. But at the moment, we have no questions.
Jordan, this is Greg. I have a question. Do you know on the SBA debt relief for 504 loans, when are they considering it a new loan? Is it when the loan closes or when it is funded, or a different time period?
Let me see here. What I'm seeing in the notes right now, all they are saying is the debt relief program was established to assist current and new SBA 7A 504 for 6 months starting March 27, 2020.
Okay, so
that's kind of a, I mean, right now the only indication we have is anything that's saying is starting March 27. So if it's a new loan starting after March 27, that is something that the lender is going to have to work with the processing center with.
right. Yeah, I guess my question is, how are they? What is the definition of new? You know, if it's a new approval, closing.
Nadine Cruz, hey, great. Nadine Cruz just chimed in from Minnesota Business Finance Corp. She says it's from funding, is what Nadine's saying in the group chat box.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Thanks.
Thanks, Nadine. From loan funding.
Yes, thank you, Nadine.
From Justin asks, is there a form to fill out for the PPP loan to keep track of payroll? Is his question.
At this time, there is nothing that has been put out as a specific requirement from the SBA on that at this time. One of the things that we have received kind of a little bit of wording for some of that is that the rules around this are being further defined on nearly a daily basis. So it is possible that additional guidance could be issued in the near future. Once we receive that guidance, we will be sharing it.
Note just popped up. The PPP loan total amount will be forgiven if it is used 75% towards payroll and 25% towards utilities and mortgage interest. That was a question.
At this time, that is the correct from the interim rule. If that's how they utilize it, that is correct.
This is Jordan here. I had a question about the EIDL loan program. Some folks had submitted EIDL loan a month or so back, plus or minus, and have not heard anything yet. I'd heard that depending on what your confirmation number is, helps dictate if you are in queue or if you should be reapplying. Have you heard that?
Well, the information that we are hearing that is if you have submitted an application prior to funds expiring, if you have received any correspondence from the SBA, or if you have a loan number that begins with the number 3, you are in the queue, and we're just asking you to be patient as the loan officers work through this.
So if your confirmation number starts with a 3, you are in the system, you're in queue. Be patient, they're working through it. If yours starts with number 2, you should reapply. Is that correct, Mike?
Well, no.
Okay.
If you had a 2, you're still in the queue. Those are the ones that were already taken care of beforehand. What happened was we went through 3 different iterations of the EIDL portal. So the final iteration was the streamlined one where the numbers are 3. We had sent out further communication to individuals to let them know if they wanted to apply for the advance, they had to apply a second time. If they did not want the advance, which is their choice, and they just kept their loan documents that were in the first 2 iterations, they're still in the queue.
Excellent. So is EIDL taking new loan apps right now, or where's that sitting?
At this time, they are not. The portal is not open. We have not received word when that portal will open, but once it does, you will be able to apply. Again, we ask for people to sign up to sba.gov/updates, and that'll actually send you an email live time when things go live or are open.
Getting a few more questions in here if I can, Mike. If you don't use the 75% towards payroll, does it turn into the 1% loan?
Correct, it does.
Okay. Another question here. The PPP loan is available to self-employed borrowers, but if you are forced to be closed, how do we justify the starting period of the next 8 weeks, even though you have received your funds already?
Okay, that is a very good technical question. For that individual, if you could email us at minneapolis.mn@sba.gov, somebody on our team can reach out and get some clarification for you and let you know from there.
Excellent. Another question, if you got a few minutes here, Mike. Can you use retro payroll with the PPP loan? We were funded by our PPP loan on Monday. We also processed payroll on Monday for pay period April 13th of 20 to April 26th of 20. Can we use the PPP loan for the payroll?
At this time, the way I've been explained, the payroll starts, it's for an 8-week period starting the day that you receive the funds. So I believe it's going forward. You can get further clarification from your lender to find out some determination. And again, pay attention to when we get further guidance from headquarters on how we're going to be defining the tracking of payroll.
Another question. Are you seeing anything related to new capital purchases?
If you're going to be purchasing new capital, you cannot use the economic injury disaster loan or the PPP loan. You will need to use a traditional 7A loan or a micro loan or those loan programs right there.
And can you repeat the email one more time for reaching out to your office? And Mike, if when you're done, if you want to email me that, I'll put that on our social media site as well, our Facebook and LinkedIn pages with questions, if that's cool with you.
I certainly can do that. And yes, our email is Minneapolis, just like the city, .mn for Minnesota @sba.gov. And again, I will forward that to you here in just a bit, Jordan.
Sounds good. We'll have that on our social media pages, both Facebook and LinkedIn for the East Central Regional Development Commission. I think that's what we got for questions. I hope I didn't miss any. Any other questions? Either feel free to put it in the chat box or unmute yourself and ask away.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
So we've got our end date for our PPP loan is June 9th. That's the 8 weeks from our funding date. We have a payroll that ends, I believe, on June 7th, but the actual funds won't be paid out to the employees until June 12th. Will that still qualify under the PPP loan?
Did you catch that, Mike?
I did, and I just want to make sure you need to work with the lender to find out how, because again, the biggest part of that is it's their funds. But if you're within that 8-week period, as far as doing the processing and everything, you should be safe. But you want to double check with your lender.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
I'm Lauren. I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. See, just trying to understand this with the unemployment for self-employed people, and like for me, I have several different things that we do, but I'm not set up as a company. I use subcontractors for everything, and we do have a farm as well. Can you sign up for the unemployment for self-employed and also sign up for the EIDL program?
Yes, you can, because they're two different programs. The unemployment actually goes through the Department of Labor through the state. So the SBA has nothing to do with unemployment.
Okay. And with the EIDL loan, what is that based on for a self-employed person?
Well, when you go through the streamlined process, when the application portal is back open, it's going to have some basic information. And they did recently add in agricultural enterprises into the economic injury disaster loan, which is new legislation. They're just going to ask some basic information concerning the business. It's a real streamlined process. And then once it actually gets up to the loan officers are going to work with you on a case-by-case basis to determine more about the loans. And then the loan officers are the ones that make the determination on the loan amount.
Okay, so for the EIDL, when you talk about loan officers, it'd be SBA loan officers?
Correct.
Okay, so now, I signed up for that PPP, and we got funded on it. With the rules changing so much, or it seems like anyway, if you signed up once for it and you got funded, like in my case, I got funded $6,500, but I didn't get funded yet. I mean, I got approved $6,500, and there's possibly 10,000 available. Do I reapply for the PPP, or how does that work? Is that a one-time apply?
Well, for the PPP, that is at this time, you only get one loan. Same way with the economic injury disaster loan.
Okay.
Now, you said that $6,500, that was from the PPP, or was that the economic injury disaster advance?
Nope, that was PPP.
Okay, so then that's separate. That is the lender's money. And as of right now, until the way it works, you can have one PPP loan and one economic injury disaster loan. So you can't have more than one of each per business.
Now, with that streamlined portal, with that, you know, I understand there's an advance up to 10,000. And is that like a quick response thing, or will it tell us as we go through that portal?
It does not tell you when you go through the portal what it is. Again, what we want to remind everybody, it is up to $10,000 as $1,000 per employee that you will receive for the advance. And the advance at this time can take about 2 to 3 weeks to process and be distributed into your account. And then another 2 to 3 weeks for the actual economic injury disaster loan itself.
Okay, so when a person fills that out, when it's available now, it could be up to 2 months, and then before you could actually be funded. When will you know if you're going to be accepted, or you know, if you'll be what you'll possibly get, or when you'll be funded?
Again, the process we're receiving from the disaster team is from the date of the actual application to a loan officer reaching out to you is about 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay, so once we fill out the app, it'll be 3-4 weeks before we hear back from someone.
At this time, correct.
Okay, that's good to know, because you know everybody in my area, anyways, saying, "Geez, you know, we did this idle paperwork a month ago or whatever, and we haven't heard nothing."
Just to let everybody know is, you know, again, one of the things I like to let everybody know is, prior to the coronavirus 2019. Our disaster team was just starting to ramp up to get ready for hurricane season.
Mm-hmm.
So again, our disaster team was relatively, you know, in its early stages of getting ready for what we consider our biggest natural disaster, which is hurricanes. We've had to pivot there, and since the number of applications is significantly, I mean, I can't even really put a number on how much higher it actually is.
Yeah.
It has overwhelmed the loan officers that we've had. So we're trying to bring on more individuals to be able to assist. So that's why at this time, we're trying to work through the current caseload and go forward from there.
Okay. You know, we just received an email from our accounting firm today, and for $500, they'll consult us on all this. But what I'm trying to discern if I should even look at that or just wait till the porthole comes out.
Well,
and fill in there.
I would honestly, in that situation, I would wait for the portal to open up and see what we can do to go from there. One of the things that we in the SBA always try to let everybody know is that the SBA does not solicit contact of any on any of our programs, nor do we require upfront payments of any kind. There is no cost to apply for the economic injury disaster loan or the advance. So we always want to have everybody be leery when these entities reach out and say, hey, we can help you out for this cost and this cost. Again, the EIDL and the advance is free. We do not solicit any contact on our programs, nor do we require upfront payments.
Okay, so just to kind of clarify for myself, because this is really, with all the stuff going on besides applying for this, it's really been mindful. So at this point, if we did the PPP, and we haven't got funded, but our banker told us today that we're on our way, so to speak, or we're approved the first level or something. The next best thing we can do is wait for the porthole to open up, fill out the EIDL paperwork. And the second thing is, tomorrow is my day where I can sign up for unemployment. So go ahead and do that tomorrow and then wait for the porthole. And would that be the specific instruction you would give me?
That is, if you receive that recommendation, then that's the way you want to proceed. That's your choice, sir.
Okay, but I mean, that would be the two things that would be potentially available for me.
At this time, when the economic injury disaster loan portal does open up, that will be available to you.
Yep, that one would be, and the unemployment, I understand, is a separate issue from you, so go ahead and follow their process.
Correct, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. You really clarified a lot. I just got done with that SBA webinar here at 1 o'clock. So
that was the one I did previously. So okay, good.
Yep.
All right, thank you. Any other questions for Mike Jackson with the U.S. Small Business Administration in the Twin Cities? All right. Well, Mike, can you stick around a little bit? If folks do have questions, maybe we'll do a little Q&A at the end here as well.
I certainly can, sir. I'm going to listen to everybody else.
Awesome, thanks. Next in queue is Brad Brzezinski. Brad is our regional rep for East Central Minnesota, or at least the northern part of our region. with the Minnesota Small Business Development, Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development. That's why I'm no longer a disc jockey, because strange things come out of my mouth, I'll tell you that. Bradley, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me here?
Yes, sir.
Very good, very good. Before I start here, I just want to direct, I posted in the chat segment our online guide for Minnesota small businesses who need assistance. It kind of runs through everything, just very short paragraph and links for things federal, for state, and other resources out there. So feel free to check that out. It offers a lot of different insight on things. So that should be within the link. If there's any issues on that, let me know and I can repost. But yes, my name is Brad Brzezinski. I'm the Northeast Business Development Rep for DEED, Department of Employment and Economic Development. And when we had one of these Zoom meetings about 3 weeks ago, we were just kind of getting many of our programs going. I think it was about 3 weeks ago when we did this. And since then, some things have changed. One of the programs that I'll just mention, but won't get into many details on because the funds have been exhausted at this time, is our Small Business Emergency Loan Program. I checked in this morning for an update on where we were at there. Had an update on it last week. Just wanted to see if anything had changed and our funds had been exhausted. Through that, we made a last kind of distribution to our partner lenders on that, and we're just waiting for those funds to be used up with applications that have already poured in. I've been told that the legislature is considering additional funds, but that is all I have for that at this time on that program. We'll definitely get out more details, and I'm sure many of you received some of the DEED emails and also follow-up emails from Jordan on programs that are available. So if anything changes on that program, we'll be sure to let you know. A little bit of a smaller or different program that we have out and we utilize partner lenders on is our Minnesota Small Business Loan Guarantee Program. I want to just kind of briefly talk about that. It was established with the COVID incident, so about a month ago it was established. And what it is it's for small businesses. It's a loan guarantee, so not a direct loan to the company, but a loan guarantee of roughly 80%, up to 80%, maximum of $200,000. And it allows loan uses have to be used in Minnesota and include machinery, equipment purchases, maintenance or repair on equipment or machinery, expenses related to moving into or within Minnesota, and working capital when the working capital is secured by fixed assets. So that's a program you can check on. I can post a direct link to that website within the chat. Our partner lenders that we have that listed, as well as kind of some frequently asked questions on that program. I'll post that next, a direct link for that program next in the chat once I'm done here. But yeah, feel free to check into that. Another program that isn't new, but may be of interest. It's not something that I deal directly with, but we do hear of people utilizing. And I wanted to mention is our unemployment insurance shared work program. And what shared work is, it kind of offers an alternative for layoffs, temporary layoffs and downturn in businesses for companies. The program allows employers to divide available hours of work among a group of employees instead of implementing a full layoff. The employees then may receive a partial unemployment benefit payment while working reduced hours. The purpose of it is, as you can imagine, is for shared work to avoid a full layoff and to keep those employees working some hours. So I can post the link for this as well. If it makes sense, I'll post it. It's through our UI division, so I'll post that link. But that's kind of what we have right now. As more details, if anything comes available again with our small business emergency loan, I will definitely let you know.
Thanks, Brad. Brad Brzezinski with the State of Minnesota DEED, Department of Employment and Economic Development. Any questions for Brad before we move along? All right, hearing none, I will turn it over to Greg Bergman. He's the Regional Director of the Small Business Development Center for East Central Minnesota. With that, Greg, we'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Jordan. I appreciate that. So small business development centers are a resource partner mentioned earlier of the Small Business Administration, along with SCORE, the Women's Business Centers, and the Veterans Outreach Centers as well. So our role is to assist those small businesses that are trying to apply for funds and help educate them as best we can, and help them understand the rules, what information that they will need to make the applications and those types of things. So we've been very busy over the past several weeks and helping do that. And I think we've served over, I would say, close to 500 businesses, nonprofits. We've gotten calls from bankers, economic development folks, and even a few churches asking about available assistance. So that's our role. What we do, we don't charge for that service. That's provided at no cost to our clients and people that are contacting us. So if you're looking for that resource, you can do that. I'll put our contact information in the chat here as well in a moment. So again, focusing on access to financing seems to be kind of the big thing. Obviously, there are not only the SBA programs and deed loan programs as well, but you know, there are also new initiatives regarding employee leave and certain requirements for that if the employee is sick or they have childcare issues, those types of things. And there are also some federal, I'll say, tax credits available as well to help alleviate some of the financial stress of the current pandemic. So I'm trying to coordinate all that a little bit and keep up on the information there, and what's going on is what we're trying to do. Long term, we're looking at what's next. So as some businesses are operating, although on a limited basis, but as businesses are allowed to open up a little bit more and hopefully things return to some form of normalcy, we're looking forward to how we can assist businesses. So hopefully, you know, in the next few weeks, we'll be able to enhance our ability to maybe provide some assistance with marketing, operations. You know, currently the state has a model, kind of a pandemic plan out there, so businesses can use that as a guide to kind of get back into operations and do that safely. We're looking at some additional training or consulting related to disaster preparedness for whatever the next disaster might be. We look at probably assisting businesses that are so deep in debt that they are struggling to get out of that, because if you do receive a loan, that will have to be repaid, other than the forgiven portions of it. And so our business is going to be able to recover from that. And then finally, we're kind of thinking that there are going to be a few business owners that are saying they've maybe had enough and are ready to move that business to the next generation, whether it's a family member or a person outside third party or an employee or that type of thing. And so helping do that. So those are the resources we're offering and what we're doing. Again, we don't charge for that service. We do have a online registration process that we ask people to complete, that kind of gets them in our system. But we're happy to work with and talk to any business that needs assistance. That's it, unless there's questions.
Anybody have any questions for Greg, the Regional Director
Yeah.
of the Small Business Development Center? Feel free to
What-
fire away.
What is the best way to reach you, Greg?
I'm going to put that in the chat here. Otherwise, our number is 218-855-8140, and that goes to Katrina, who is our office coordinator, and she'll make sure you get connected to one right consultant. We cover about 11 counties in north central Minnesota, or what we call north central Minnesota, and so we have consultants kind of scattered throughout our region. So so that would be the best way to contact us.
Okay. And is Brad still on with us as well? Oh, you know what? He just answered my question. Thank you.
Any other questions for Greg in the Small Business Development Center? All right. Well, Greg, if you can stick around too, I want to just go through a few odds and ends, and some of what I'm going to talk about kind of overlaps onto several of our topic areas from several of our presenters today. The first thing I want to mention is the PUA, the Pandemic Unemployment Program. That is for self-employed, independent contractors, gig economy, etc. I did put the link to that in the chat box. Short answer on that is handled through the state of Minnesota's Department of Employment and Economic Development. You can apply for that online. The address is uimn.org for the Minnesota unemployment. I also put a link to kind of a FAQ, additional information on that in the chat box as well. And from what I understand, and Don and Greg and Brad, you can probably chime in and correct me on this, was talking with Twyla and at the federal SBA here or a little earlier today. It sounds like you can apply, independent or self-employed folks can either apply for the PPP or the PUA, but they can't apply for both. No double dipping. Is that? For Mr. McDonald and from Twyla on that, anybody have any other guidance or advice on that from the state or the feds or the SBDC?
I'm sorry, can you say that again, Jordan? You broke up a little bit there.
Oh, sorry about that. I was talking with Brian McDonald and Twyla on email here late yesterday and earlier today. We had a question arise if a small business, independent contractor, or self-employed can apply for both the PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program, and the PUA, which is for the self-employed folks. They cannot apply for both, no double dipping. Is that the way you guys understand that too?
If Brian and Twyla put that out, then that's the information that I have. I need to reach out for them to get clarification, but if they put it out, then it's probably the case.
Okay. Excellent. All right. Any other questions for anybody else? From anybody else for either of our speakers? All right. I will, again, remind everyone, please follow us on social media. We'll be putting a lot of these links and information on there. We're East Central Regional Development Commission on Facebook and on LinkedIn. And then questions for the SBA, their email address, I'll repeat that, and that's in the chat box as well. It's minneapolis.mn@sba.gov. Again, minneapolis.mn@sba.gov. One last thing on that note of sba.gov. I know maybe Greg and Mike can speak to this, but there's been some folks, been reports of people trying to be contacted by some fraudsters. So be very careful at emails and whatnot that you're getting to make sure they are truly indeed from sba.gov. I've heard folks that had some very convincing emails, but noticed a few misspellings in them. Looked very professional. So please be on the lookout for that. And when in doubt, have them resend it or verify. Trust but verify, as Ronald Reagan used to say. So be careful about that. Any other questions, comments, thoughts for our speakers? All right, hearing none, we thank Mike Jackson with the U.S. Small Business Administration, Brad Brzezinski with DEED, the State of Minnesota's Department of Employment and Economic Development, and Greg Bergman, the Regional Director with the Small Business Development Center. We tape this training, and we'll have that available online on our website and social media accounts probably tomorrow. So if you missed something or wanted to get a little reiteration on some stuff, by all means, feel free to check that out. So with that, on behalf of the East Central Regional Development Commission, thank you so much for attending. We wish you well. If there's anything we can do to assist, don't hesitate to give us a call or drop us an email, and our website is ECRDC.org. Thanks, everyone. Be safe.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Jordan. Have a good night.
Oh, I forgot to mention, if anybody is so interested, tonight at 6 o'clock, we are having our Regional Inventors and Entrepreneurs Club. The focus of that is on inventors tonight, taking your invention, bringing the product to market. For more information, you can, and a link to that webinar, that is on our website, ecmnbusiness.com. Again, ecmnbusiness.com. There's your commercial for the day. Have a good night and a pleasant tomorrow, as Garrett Morris used to say on Saturday Night Live. Bye-bye.
See you there, Jordan.
Good luck. Thanks, Nancy.